Hey kids, it's Jurassic James. I'm Jurassic James looking at Kileskus, not Guanlong. I lied to you, sorry. I was filming Guanlong video and some stuff went wrong in production. A lot of people died, so we're doing Kileskus first. So here's the thing. This animal, the name actually means lizard. Now, many dinosaur names are Greek and Latin. I know now there's a lot of scripts in China, so a lot of Mandarin names there. But historically in the West, it's been Greek and Latin. This one's from the part of Russia. The people there, Kileskus essentially means lizard, basically. And so before, there's no other figure of it but this one, so we're going to go and do the official opening with the scissors of Jurassic James, the official scissors of Jurassic James, and cut the plastic umbilical cord, which meaning, you know, it's not a mammal, so it wouldn't have one anyway. Let's see. There we go. Yeah. So, free from the box. Okay, so first and foremost, Kileskus was named in 2010. Again, found in Russia, near Siberia. So the part they found is essentially this premaxillus part right here. So let me open the jaw real quick. And no, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Let's see. It's really close tight. All right. Rigor mortis, I guess, after death. So here is the figure up close and personal. Look at him, appreciate him, love him. So the part right there they found, not the crest, just the part right here. They found a few of the hand bones, a few of the foot bones, and that was it. So in the environment it's found in, this is the late part of the Middle Jurassic. So my example of this for kids is when I shot this video, the year 2024, which is weird when you were born like I was in the last century, in the 1900s. The 2020s has an early, middle, late. The early 2020s is 2020 to let's say 23. The middle 2020s is 24 to 26. And the late 2020s is 2027 to 2029, right? In theory, right? And so if the middle Jurassic is like the middle 20, this is like the 2025. This is like right before the late Jurassic begins. In the environment it's found in, we have turtles, fish, mammals, amphibians, things like that. There's no only dinosaur from the environment that's actually named. And what I mean by that is there are parts of Heterodopterosaurids and parts of Mimichisaurids and parts of Cedar. They're not fully named, they're only fragments. And as I said, this guy's pretty fragment, but if you want to get your name out there, you put that name on a theropod who's possibly a Tyrannosaurus relative. Speaking of which, looking at the animal overall, based on what we have, like I said, there's no reason to think that it didn't have the 3 digits like you're seeing here. They are palm to palm. I think Jurassic World is finally getting it, that you put the hands not like this, but more like that. But more importantly, that the feet, of course, have the 3 toes going forward, the dew claw going back. This is getting, you know, to look more like the animal we know. There's your DNA code, huzzah. But I also want to point out that we have like feather or integument on this like kind of fibrous growth on the skin. So the bottom of the animal is pretty leathery, really scale. But the top part is really weird scales here, and there's like feathers here. Thoughts on that? One, we don't have that part of the animal. Who knows? It's unlikely it would have just scales on his neck and then nowhere else like that. That's not something we see. I know Carnotaurus are reversed. They have more like large scales in the back and like nothing on the neck so far. You know, but that's kind of the opposite of what we see. And it's a different animal. Anyway, so it falls under a group called Proceratosaurid. Now this is really important to me because one, let's see here. I have 2 Proceratosaurids. I have the Jurassic World one, which its tail is just downright upsetting. And then 2, the Collect A, right? Let's see. Collect A, yeah. So here's my only scientific-y model version of 1. I will point out that the tail is, I mean, what are we doing here, guys? Come on, it's not a mammal. Not, you know. Anyway, so overall, like I said, if they just made a bigger tail, and first of all, it's not balanced. Look at that. Look at that. It's almost like the tail matters. Here we have longer toes, better engineering overall, that it can stand, but it's still kind of leaning forward. This guy, it's just upsetting. This is why I'm complaining all the time. The point I'm trying to make, the feet should have been small in real life. These are made bigger for the toy to stand up, but I accept that for engineering purposes. Just give it a bigger tail, help balance it. The point I'm trying to make is this. Discovered, this guy's named in like 1926, I believe, Proceratosaurid. And the name implies, as it sounds, if you see this little horn structure here, it is thought to be, whereas late Jurassic we have Ceratosaurus in North America, this very famous, very reviewed for my channel, Dinosaur. And so they find this little guy who's like older in England, and the little horn crest like that. And you know, oh, this is the early ancestor of this guy. This is again 1926. There were less dinosaurs known, less shared information, less geographic, like scans and stuff. So that makes sense, right? But then they realize, oh no, it lacks other features. And do know, as a side note, most of our Proceratosaurid figures, these big crests you see here, are unknown. They usually find just this part of the skull. And so they'll see where the bone goes up, where you can see where a ridge or something should be there. But whether or not it is like this or like this, we have no idea. And so a lot of that speculation based on a holotype specimen, the first they find, the most efficient first specimen they find. So with Proceratosaurid, now, it's, excuse me, it's kind of really exciting. So Proceratosaurid is actually considered to be its own group. Now, they're often depicted as ancestors to the Tyrannosaur group. It's not necessarily that they're direct ancestors. They could be like the uncles of the group. And I'll explain that with the bigger talk. But the main thing to point out here is that of the 5 generally accepted members of this group, we do have all 5 in toy form. So we have Proceratosaurid here, of course, in its different forms. I'm gonna, there you go. We have Kileskus here. We have Guanlong, who is right here. Here's the Jurassic World version. Here's the, I think, Collect A version, or Safari. Is it Safari? It is. Wait, the name's twice. What is going on? Well, yeah, Safari. Sorry. So this is another one. So again, this guy is in England. This is from Russia. Here's from China. They're not exactly the same time. These guys are early, late Jurassic. He's late, middle Jurassic. And then we jump ahead to the early Cretaceous period in China, and you have a figure like the most famous, or not most famous, the most appreciated member of this group, in my opinion. It's Tyrannosaurus, which was thought to be a different group, but recently redefined in this group. So long story there. If there is, I hope there'll be a Jurassic World. Tyrannosaurus is a very important dinosaur. It's the longest feathers of any dinosaur known, or feather growth. And this guy is the early, it's just a really big deal, and there's not a toy of it. But we have Beckel Spinax, so that's, And so another animal from China too is Sino-Tyrannus, which again, they made this guy, but not this guy. This guy as well, they did not find the full crest for. This one, the skull you're seeing here, this little bit of ridge right there, they actually found that. And this figure is, let's see, Safari 2015. And so these are the Proceratosaurs. Now this group is important because why? It's an example of how different dinosaur groups come along. We know about the Spinosaurs, we know about the Megalosaurs, the Allosaurs, all those things. But there are still offshoots here and there. And so for this one group, if you look, these are the 5 species, or genuses, that are considered to be in this one group and are all in toy form. So that's kind of cool for me, because a lot of times I talk about things that we can see sometimes, or partial skeletons, but I think because they are connected to Tyrannosaurus, that's why they're kind of like launched into, popularity. Now, that being said, let's move over to, so the Proceratosaurids are right here, which is ironic because the name is Proceratosaurus, so even though they're a different grouping, that name in science, because you're saying, why don't you change the name to Proceratosaurids, right? Well, the idea is that name Proceratosaurids in science was first established earlier on, and that's the name that takes hold. That's the rules of nomenclature, right? The rules of naming species and families and stuff. So these guys are here. Now, and they're in their own little branch, right? And they go from about 166 million years ago to about 120 million years ago. Then they go extinct. The next branch over is one called the Pantyrannus. So that includes Dilong, this guy right here, which is also from China, Liaoning, China. It also includes Eotyrannus, who I mentioned before in another video, is thought to be probably a member of the Megaraptor group, but then they was refuted, so Tyrannosaur again. Then we have the Moros, which was made famous by Jurassic World. I already did a video on this guy. Now they have one in black like this. It's like the Star Wars high-end figures, and they're like the Doc series, So these guys are called Pan-Tyrannosaurids. And so they're more, they're found everywhere, all over the world. Well, Northern Hemisphere, sorry. They're found in China, England, and North America, right? So Northern Hemisphere, right? So after that, we have the Tyrannosaur family, and within that group, there are different branches as well. Dryptosaurus, who I've done a video on from Jersey, represents the eastern North American Tyrannosaurus, is Dryptosaurus and Appalachiosaurus. Those guys are, again, very hard to find because North America in the late Cretaceous was cut in half by an ocean called we call it the Great Western Interior Seaway, the Zuni Sea, different names. And so where Appalachia is, that is where you find Dryptosaurus in Jersey, and then Appalachiosaurus. On the other side, we find all the other Tyrannosaurs we normally know, except for the ones in Asia. So once we get to that, the Asian species, which I've done numerous videos on, Alioramus, which we have this guy here, and I've done a Jurassic World video of this one and the... Where's your name? Your company. It's Collect A as well. And of course, this guy here, which is a PNSO figure. And so these guys are found, or the Alioramusaur family. So they're a subgroup within the Tyrannosaur group. They are known for, this guy's nickname is Pinocchiosaurus because they have a very long, narrow snout. The other member of the Tyrannosaur family are the Tarbosaurs, which is something really close to the T-Rex actually. It was so close to T-Rex. Again, I did a video on this already. So close to T-Rex that it was thought to be a different species of Tyrannosaurus in Asia, but didn't earn its own name, Tarbosaurus, later on. They show it in the Jurassic Camp Cretaceous, one of those little offshoot videos on Netflix. Then we get to the more proper Tyrannosaur family. There's two branches then. We have the Gorgosaurid, it's actually called the Abrotosaurid family. And so here is my Papo Gorgosaurus, and here is my PNSO Abrotosauros. Thank you, Jim. For those of you who wonder why I do shout-outs like that, because people who buy me dinosaur toys get a shout-out. That's that simple. And so this Gorgosaurus is from Papo. Here is the one from Walking with Dinosaurs, and here's the Jurassic World Abrotosauros. Give you the idea of the more cartoony version of these two animals. The main thing with these two groups is that they are, for one period, thought to be the same species. They were different genuses named, and then said, oh no, they're the same genus. And then like, no, someone's like, they're not the same genus. The main thing is, compared to the other Tyrannosaurs, they have more long legs. They're more, they're like the speed racers of Tyrannosaurs, right? And they're known for having these two kind of like little crest structures here and here on the head, right before the front of the eye. And so they're their own little family too within the Tyrannosaurs. And then finally we have Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is seen here in my Jurassic World figure, and here's my Papo figure, and of course our little friend, the Spinosaurus, which I really wish that Jurassic World mimicked the Spinosaurus figure. The problem is, it's just like a small version of T-Rex. And so, I guess in looking hindsight, if you look behind me, I have several Tyrannosaurs, and a ridiculous amount, an embarrassing amount of Tyrannosaurs on display. But the idea is that, very simple, is that these guys, I don't know how they would do that. It might upset me, I don't know. But the Spinosaurus is thought to be the ancestor, well, by some, it's thought to be the ancestor of Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I've done a video on this guy already too. So, in fact, I'll put a link to my Tyrannosaur videos below and on the final clip pick. But in general, we have this different branching. So they're all closely related to each other than they are the Spinosaurs, the Allosaurs, Megalosaurs. But within that relationship, we have a breakdown of what they are, right? And so that's why, for me, it's nerd enjoyment. We have Proceratosaurid. They're kind of a cool group. They're connected to each other. I like that a lot. And again, this is something that I've seen partial skeletons of, but to get a toy of it's kind of neat. And so this is one of the ones where I'm like, yeah, this is obscure, but like I see where it matters, right? Versus something that they find one bone or 3 vertebrae from. Anyway, that being said, I'll see you guys this week. Let's see, we might do Monophosaurus. We might do Guanmog again. I don't know. We'll find out together, right? That being said,